So then we are back with modern understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services are refined in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end, period Shiach the prophet, we find the 61st chapter, where it gives us then this understanding of the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries, and the reduction of time from 2032, where you can easily understand that the Messiah already came into the world more than 2,000 years ago. So you do the mathematical calculation, 2,000 years given to the Gentiles and expiring then in 2032. Then you can understand the second half of the instructions and the prophets, 490 days. There is a time of restoration of the holy cities, and then the trade of the end, and also then the spiritual understanding of the Balian system or Babylon and the dragon, China. After this, it would be prudent for our nation then understand why then JFK was then murdered. People are not stupid anymore, and they understand the president was shot by an U.S. soldier from a rainstorm very near the presidential car when then the JFK was on the road and he met his end. It was not Oswald. Oswald was made it up. He was a soldier, but then he did not murder the president. The library situation over there and the whole 9 yards far away, that was invented. The president was shot by an U.S. military person from a rainstorm from the same side where then the presidential car was coming from. So let's evaluate why he was murdered. As we understand, before President Castro had taken over Cuba, Fulgencio Batista was then in charge over there. He was a scoundrel of the worst kind, a drug dealer, you name it, not to disgrace the drug dealers. But then, when Castro and Che Guevara came from the mountains, after many years of fight, he was able then to take over. And then there was the Cold War with the Soviet Union, and then Cuba joined up with the Soviet Union, and then came the Cuban crisis. During this time, then the world was concerned of the time of the end, but let's be frank, the world wasn't the time yet for the ending, because it was far away yet from the finish of the 1,000 years of deceit. So the world would never end at that time. The lack of knowledge. Yet the threat was very present. But then there was the desire of murdering Castro, and then JFK didn't want to do this. The Bay of Pigs had failed, and then other types of ways of destroying Cuba also failed. And the reason why then JFK was put to death was because he did not want to murder Fidel Castro. That was the reason. So then they hired this U.S. soldier, a marksman obviously, and JFK got murdered. And the drain storm is there yet, the manhole is there yet. You lift the lid from the manhole, fits a person in there with a rifle, and that's why the shot was so deadly. Then they had to Photoshop the entire pictures of the president and so on and so forth. So the government is very dirty. Scoundrels. Neither we should put the blame in our present president, because it's got nothing to do with it. It's from another time. So then the minimum this government should do is to apologize for the widow of Oswald, because he had no fault. And then obviously reimburse for the problem. And then this library junk should be then taken down, or then do something else with it. People are tired of being deceived. So then I understand also taxation. Taxation is very important. Should have a department of taxation and freighting, so then the government can start gathering taxes. Because retailers are already complaining there is not enough trade going on. So then the government must regain the trust from the very citizens. Otherwise, it's not going to work. That's it. Much more coming up.